And there is no study that shows a correlation between more sexual partners and higher relationship satisfaction.
Welcome to another episode of Ask a Brother podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James, and we're going to have a whole host of different people from different backgrounds coming in because it really is about building a community of like-minded people that's just open to listening and hearing from other perspectives. The revolution is going to be because of us. Body count. So often we hear in this debate, either it doesn't matter or it only matters to the misinformed men that are misogynistic. What's the real answer, and what studies would you point to?
So I would only point to studies, and there is no study that shows a correlation between more sexual partners and higher relationship satisfaction. And by the way, for the people who fully intend on misinterpreting what I'm saying, because there's a few guys out there, you know who you are, I'm not going to use any dating app data. No dating app data. Let me say it again. No dating app data. If you hear somebody quoting me and saying that I'm using dating app data, know that person is a liar and never take any of the things they say seriously ever whatsoever. Just block them and just move on. That person is a liar. There's one guy in particular, he specifically lies about this on a regular basis. Without using any dating app data, we can clearly see through numerous studies that the more sexual partners you have for men and women, the less likely you are to be happy in a relationship. That doesn't mean that because you met a woman with 40 bodies, there's a 100% chance she's going to cheat on you. That's not what it means. It means from a population level, if we were to take the mean of all the women who've been with 5 guys, all the women who've been with 10 guys, all the women who've been with 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and we were to plot out the mean for all of them and then look at sexual satisfaction or the likelihood of cheating, we would know that the mean number of women who cheat would move to the right as we increase the number of sexual partners before they got married, and we would notice the same thing for men as well. That's it. It doesn't mean I've had incredibly fulfilling friendships and even, some intimate relationships with women who have, been with a few guys. That doesn't mean I want to settle down with them. And it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't reduce their self-worth as a human. But having more sexual partners before you're married would tend to lead towards you not having a satisfied marriage. This is why it was so irresponsible and absurd for me to listen to Mark Manson go on Jubilee when he has 10 million followers. He has 10 million followers. And he had the audacity to actually say that the more sexual experience you have, the more sure and stable you are in a relationship, when there is zero data to back up what he said. That's my only point. I'm saying, is there a possibility? No, what Mark is doing is called coping. It's after the fact. Mark was a pickup artist named Entropy PUA for a long time. So Mark has a high body count. And from his body count looking back, he's like, well, I've somehow made it work with my wife. Therefore, because I had a lot of sexual partners and I made it work with my wife, therefore, then I'm going to make that a rule of thumb or pretend like there's data to support that. No, you have an N of one. You have one anecdotal story where you did that. And by the way, I found other anecdotal stories where that's also worked as well. But statistically, what he's saying tends to be more wrong than right.
Hey, y'all. It's Jeff St. James from Ask a Brother podcast, and I would like to thank today's sponsor. I made the switch to Anson Belt and Buckle, and I'm never going back. Most traditional belts have holes spaced an inch apart, and if your weight fluctuates, you're stuck between sizes, the belt is either too tight or too loose. With Anson Belt and Buckle, they use micro-adjustable track system with quarter-inch increments. That means no more stretching, no more cracking leather from shoving a prong through the same hole, no diddy, and absolutely perfect sizing every single time. The best part, you can mix and match their interchangeable straps and buckles to create a look for the office, the golf course, or even a night out. Oh, and last but not least, they use premium materials like full grain leather and canvas. Head over to ansonbelt.com and check out the box sets. Now, right now, when you build your own box set, you can grab 2 bonus pieces completely free. That's Anson Belt and Buckle. Upgrade your fit today and let them know Ask a Brother sent you. Wow. And I've been thinking about this for a while because, again, it's not just some women who are making the argument he's making. You now have these guys that's doing this. And again, the problem I'm having is twofold. One, if these guys are smart enough to make the arguments they make, build these massive platforms, they have access to Google and databases just like we do, and they're intentionally choosing to omit all of the data and studies that completely confirm what you're saying. But what's most concerning, I wanted to throw this out to you. I really, really want to know. And you mentioned it earlier about this concept of if every single man closed his eyes, would you
Yeah.
look your daughter in her eyes and tell her, have sex with as many men as you want, has no
Yes.
impact, has no effect? No man on the planet would do that that cares about his
Yes.
daughter, let alone his child. So,
Not
like,
even
what are your
Mark Manson. Not
no.
even Mark Manson. If Mark Manson, it was like, hey, Mark, I understand that you're sex positive. I understand that you don't have a problem with women doing pornography. I grasp that. Would you want your daughter doing pornography? And you would see him. He would see him duck and dive and do like the Matrix and get out of the way. He would never answer the question because he's still a man and he still understands why that feeling exists, even though he may want to transcend it or feel that that feeling inside of him is archaic or misogynistic. That feeling exists for a certain reason. And so, yeah, I mean, what you're saying is definitely true. Here's the issue: is that I think when this conversation first started, I don't think either the manosphere side or the anti-manosphere side was really using peer-reviewed data. I don't think either side was, and I think there were a few content creators. Chris Williamson being probably the leader of the pack. I would put myself in this category. There's a few other content creators that were like, let's see where the data takes us. And what we found is, while the manosphere is not right 100% of the time, the data tends to lean credence towards it more than against it. And so now, because the data tends to lean more towards body count does hurt you and all these other things, women are leaving men when they lose their jobs and things that sort of lend credence to hypergamy, you see this sort of like anti-manosphere but pro data group of men. And I still respect these guys, and I'll put William Costello, Mac and Murphy, Rob Henderson, Chris Williamson, those guys in this space. Alex from Date Psych, these guys who are in this space. And I'm not going to put Steven Stewart Williams or David Buss in there because I don't feel like they do that at all.
Okay.
But I would say there's a lot of these guys that like they go on there and like, yeah, hypergamy, but, and then you'll see Chris Williamson and he'll straight up talk about how women are getting metaphorically taller because they make more money, right? But then he has to do a land acknowledgement to sort of like apologize and like, well, I'm not saying that women don't suffer too. And my whole point is the data, the moderate manosphere creators are backed up by the data more than they're not. And if anyone would like to debate me on this, we can, but you had better bring your homework, because one of the problems that's happened is the problem is hypergamy is real, and it's okay that hypergamy is real. I told you before, close your eyes, have empathy for your daughter. Would you want your daughter dating a weak, broke man? No, you would not. So hypergamy makes sense. I don't have a problem with hypergamy. The problem is, to some people, hypergamy makes women look not in the greatest light. Therefore, because it doesn't look good, therefore hypergamy must be misogynistic. Dr. Steve Stewart Williams talks about this in his book, A Billion Years of Sex Differences, this concept of like, it's called stereotype bias, which is the idea that because something's a stereotype, therefore it cannot be true. Now, some stereotypes are true. They literally are true. If you were to look at the average 100-meter times between the average East Asian man and the average man who lives in the Caribbean, it's not even close. It's not even close. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? It's I mean, again, but it's like, but what I just said, is it really racist? Is it racist for me to say that? No, because what I'm talking about is that there are actual differences. And when we say those differences that are stereotypes, therefore, because the stereotype must be hurtful, therefore it cannot be true. Sometimes stereotypes are hurtful and they're also true. And that's the problem. And that's why I love A Billion Years of Sex Differences, because it goes over this thing. In general, are women more interested in men procuring money than men are interested in women procuring money? Obviously, the answer is yes. When David Buss does the first of several multicultural studies to show 37 culture study, 10,000 people, measures them, tries to see whether or not women are more interested in men procuring resources than the other way around. Of course, we all know the answer. We all knew the answer. We all knew that women were going to be more interested than the other way around. We all knew that. Yeah. We also know the answer. We also know that men care more about body count than women. In every culture, we found that to be the case. Now, how much women care about body count changes depending on whether we're in a very traditional, like say Muslim society versus like Norway. But for men in every culture do care about body count. They care about it less in Scandinavian countries and more in the Middle East, but they do care about it more than women do. Okay. We found this to be the case in every culture. So when we find these things out, what do? They sort of like validate stereotypes. It doesn't mean that these stereotypes are correct or incorrect, but because they're offensive doesn't mean they're wrong.